Well, welcome. Well, you all are getting a wealth of information about nutrition, and it's been very repetitive, and that's a good thing because sometimes in order to understand, you need to hear it from different people. You need to hear the terminology a little bit differently, and then something clicks. Now, I hope that the 5 people who I sent their gift card, Whole Foods gift card, got them. And I think I heard from 2 people that they received it, but I'm hoping that all of those who we spoke to, that I called, that you all have received your gift card, and I hope you've been able to use it wisely and enjoy it.
Dr. Mundey, I did get mine.
Okay, good. All right.
This is Brenda.
Okay, hey, good, very good, Brenda. All right. That's the usual disclaimer. I always have to have it up because I have to keep reminding everybody who is participating. It might be your first, second, third, fourth, or many, many times, that this is education. This is not to get information to run with it, that you have to speak to your healthcare provider. And some of you may not be going in that frequently. Maybe you don't have an appointment right away, but at your next chronic care appointment, if you're going in for physical, you're going in for, are you having some issues, please make sure you bring it to their attention that you're working on learning more about how to eat better and share what you've learned and get approval of what you thinking that you might want to do. Okay. Yes. All right. So today we're going to cover 2 subjects, 2 topics that people always either they want to know, or maybe somebody talked to them about it and shared information, but they're not quite sure they know exactly what it is. And I think I've been in the same place with my daughter-in-law. She's very, very health conscious. I mean, I think it's overly health, but she doesn't think so. But she's very health conscious, and she's on this gluten diet. And she tried to get me on the gluten diet. And when I looked at it, I said, that's okay, I'll stick to Mediterranean.
Yes.
But it's important because it's all out in the news and you hear people talking about this gluten business. What is it? And why would you even want to deal with it? So let's learn a little bit about gluten so that you can have more information and more tools in your toolbox. You decide how you want to continue to eat. So gluten is a protein, first of all, and Alex just talked about proteins, different types of proteins. Gluten is a protein. You find that protein in wheat, barley, rye, and something called, which I was never familiar with, called triticale, which is a cross between wheat and rye. And technology has gotten so complex now, and we're making all kinds of stuff with what we already have and combining. You probably will see some more types of wheat, barley, rye, and combinations of that actually has gluten in it. So why go on a gluten-free diet? You always have to say, I don't want to eat. Does that have gluten in it? I got to check and read the label. Why would we be on a gluten-free diet? Mainly, the most important reason to get on a gluten-free diet is because your healthcare provider said, you've got a medical condition like celiac disease, like some huge problems with your GI tract, your food pipe. That's what we call your GI tract, your food pipe, from the mouth all the way down to the rectum. You may have something and the doctor may have tried everything, can't find nothing. And then at the last resort, you still having symptoms. And he says, well, let's try a gluten-free diet. So that's another way you might be recommended by the healthcare team to try a gluten-free diet. However, having said that, this diet is very popular among people who have no medical conditions, but they've heard that it's a healthy diet and they want to give it a try. And that's something for you to think about. When we go through this, will you say, you know, well, do I really want to try a gluten-free diet because I don't have any problems that need to be addressed with gluten? You'll be able to make that decision. Now, we don't have any research that tells us, and you know, everything is based on research, and some research is not that great, and some research is done very well. But there is no research documented that tells us that a gluten-free diet, unless you have some medical problem, that it's good for you, just generally speaking. So let's take a look and see what exactly you can eat if you're on the gluten-free diet and you decide to do that. All fruits and vegetables are gluten-free. That means fresh, not processed. That's the key. Beans, seeds, legumes, nuts, unprocessed in their natural form have no gluten in it, so you can eat that. Eggs have no gluten at all. Unprocessed meat in general, lean, that means little fat. Unprocessed meat, fish, and poultry also are gluten-free. And then most low-fat dairy products. So you just heard again, Alex talked to you about the different types of dairy and cheese, etc. Those that are low-fat dairy products are gluten-free. Now, interestingly, I thought corn had gluten in it, but guess what? Corn is gluten-free. I was surprised at that. Corn is gluten-free, so anything that uses corn only, and not a lot of other substances, you can use water, etc. But cornmeal, grits, polenta, they are all, especially, they have to have that label on it that says gluten-free. And that's the key on that using corn. But regular corn on the cob, boiled corn, you can go ahead if you're on a gluten-free diet and you can eat that. Quinoa, which is a grain, has no gluten in it, that you can eat. And I was happy to see that you could also eat rice, including wild rice, soy, and tapioca, because I love rice.
Wow, right.
Any questions about what you can eat if you're on a gluten-free diet? Your doctor tells you, hey, let's try this gluten-free diet to see if we can stop you from feeling what? Bloated. A lot of people complain about being bloated. No matter what they do, they're bloated. They're not having any trouble with their bowels, but after they eat, they say, gosh, that food, like it's just blew my belly up. And sometimes your doctor will try to get you to get on a gluten-free diet. Some people say it really helps them.
I have acid reflux really, really bad. So I have been thinking about changing to a gluten diet.
Okay, and that could be a reason to change to a gluten diet, gluten-free diet. No,
Yes.
yeah, gluten-free diet. So that could be a reason to change. Let's see what we really have to do to try to avoid food with gluten. It's not, I find at my stage in my life, I'm in that last quarter of my life, I don't know if I could do it, but I want you to be aware of what you have to do. You got to read the label. A lot of things that I just talked about, the fruits and the corn and etc. If you're buying something in a package or in a can and you think somebody said this is gluten-free, I want you to go back and read that label. As we talked about the very first lecture we had, education session we had, we learned about how to read a label. Look on that label. Don't read the front, because the front might say gluten-free. Go to the back of that can, because remember, the front of a label of any food is marketing. It's to get you to pick it up. You flip it to the back and look at the food label, and you want to look for a label that says gluten-free. If it doesn't say it on the label itself, and the back part of it, the contents part of it, it probably does not have, it may be a little bit of gluten in it, but it's not gluten-free. The other thing I want to mention to you, we said wheat. Wheat is a big thing when you want to go on a gluten-free diet, you want to avoid wheat. Well, there's a lot of, a lot of us are using wheat bread and different types of wheat to help our bowels, to keep our bowels flush, and it's supposed to be healthy for us in general. But if you want to go on a gluten-free diet, look, if you pick up wheat flour, you might not even know it has wheat in it because it may be called by a different name. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Wheat flour have different names based on how the wheat or the flour is processed. And all of them have gluten in it. I don't care what they say. So if you get enriched flour that has added vitamins and minerals, it has gluten. Farina, a lot of us grew up on farina for breakfast. That's what we gave our kids. It's usually used in hot cereal. That has wheat in it. There's a flour called graham flour, which I've never had. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know if any of you have seen it in the supermarket. I'm not, maybe it's in a different region of the United States or maybe overseas, internationally. That has whole wheat flour in it. Self-rising flour has wheat in it. It may not say self-rising wheat flour. It may say self-rising what? White flour. Now, a lot of us use self-rising flour. It has wheat in it. Semolina is a part of wheat when it's milled, and it's used in pasta and it's used in couscous. That has wheat in it. So I really want you to be very, very much aware. If you really have to go on a gluten-free diet, the key is you got to do a lot of reading before you pick it up when you go to the supermarket. And if you got somebody shopping for you, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for them if they're not familiar with it. So really, I want the bottom line is I want you to think about, is it worth going on a gluten-free diet if you don't have to? Because it's really hard. I've watched my daughter-in-law who was on this gluten-free diet by her medical provider. And sometimes she comes over to visit me and I have nothing that she can eat. And she'll say, do you have any rice? I can put a little butter on it and I'll eat the little rice because I'm hungry. But sometimes I don't have anything cooked or in the refrigerator. It may be that, maybe some fruit. She does eat a lot of fruit, because fresh fruit, because she knows for sure that has no gluten in it. So just kind of think about it. There's nothing wrong with going on it, prescribed by your doctor.
No.
But I would say if it's something that's not prescribed and not recommended by your doctor, maybe you want to think of if there's a better way to eat healthier to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So for example, you mentioned someone mentioned suffer from reflux. There's some non-medicine things that you could do when you have reflux. What's the first thing the doctor tells you? Because I have reflux. I thought I was doing the right thing because I know used to tell my patients when I was practicing, get that head of your bed up. You
Oh, really?
Yeah, you shouldn't be sleeping. If you have reflux, that's one of the first. We talk about things that you can do without taking medicine, behavioral type things that you could change. That's the first thing you try to do. You try that. So I thought I was doing the right thing. I put the head of my bed up about 45 degrees. You know what I did? I used some pillows. You know what my doctor told me, the GI doctor? He said, that's not quite the best way, he said. He said, that's not quite the best way. He said, what you really need, because your head is going to keep slipping off that pillow at night. He says, what you need to do is to put something, a riser, put something, maybe some cinder blocks or something underneath, under the mattress, all the way down. If you have two mattresses, a bed spring and a mattress, it has to go all the way down under that so that the actual bed is raised up 45 degrees. So that's one of the first things that you need to do. Two, you don't want to eat late at night. I cut it off at 6, 7 o'clock is the latest. I don't eat anything because I go to bed early. If you're going to eat a certain time, you should not lay down on your food if you have reflux for another 2 to 3 hours. It takes a couple of hours for that food to work its way down from your mouth, down to your stomach, down below your small intestine. You want it to get all the way down there. So you never lay down if you're going to go in bed and lay down before 2 hours. If you're going to sit in the bed, prop yourself up and stay awake. Make sure it's a couple hours before you go to sleep, because that acid and all that stuff that your body makes to crush up and mash up that food, all of that will start going up into your chest. So
You know what?
Yeah.
I apologize for interrupting you, but all my life, well, not all my life, because my mother wouldn't allow it, but I love eating in the bed.
Tell me about it.
I love to eat in the
we
bed.
do. But you know what? Put your head up and you have to stay awake if you have reflux. You know, otherwise, what's going to happen? The doctor is going to give you medication.
I'm on medicine.
That's what I mean. Which one you would prefer to try first? Don't forget, all medications have side effects. You want to take medications if you need it. But if you can solve your health problem without using medication and you can solve it, try that first before you get on a medication diet, because of the side effect that it can have on you and it can have if you're taking other medications. I see a hand up. Anne, you have something you want to share? Anne? Anne? Let me unmute. Oh,
Hello.
Anne.
I got thrown out. I pushed the raise my hand and I got thrown out. I wanted to say that when you were talking about raise your head, that's what my doctor and my asthma doctor recommended, because I have that acid reflux too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've tried some old-fashioned remedy, a little baking soda and water.
Yeah,
that didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It worked.
You can do that.
Didn't work.
And of course, there are a couple other, 2 or 3 other things that affect that. So I'm just going to mention it because I'm sure your doctors mention it. Is if you smoke, that makes your reflux worse.
Yeah.
If you drink more alcohol, especially at night, that makes your reflux worse. And if you take a lot of what? NSAIDs, that means ibuprofen, naproxen. If you take a lot of that on an empty stomach, or you take a lot of it to relieve any kind of pain, it can give you reflux. So caffeine you can affect if you drink a lot of caffeine. I did restrict myself to 1 cup of coffee in the morning. Don't forget, tea even sometimes have more caffeine than coffee. So those are just some of the things that you can try to do to help yourself. And then when it doesn't work, you probably need the medication. Let's move on. All right, I do see one other hand up. Jeanette Martin.
I'm gonna raise my hand.
Somebody raised your hand.
I'm trying to raise my, oh, here it is, raise my hand.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Am I? No, I'm
Yes.
not. Somebody on mute, but I'm not. My face is on mute, not my voice.
Actually, it's we have Jeanette Martin who has been waiting.
Yeah,
Jeanette-
that's who I was
Jeanette
calling.
Martin.
I was trying to get Jeanette to speak, but
Jeanette Martin, can you
Okay,
unmute and
yes.
ask your question? Go ahead.
As far, I was listening to you raising your bed at a 45-degree angle. And I have sleep apnea, and the first sleep study went fine. The second part was a total disaster because I'm so claustrophobic. But what I find that helps is I bought these wedges that fit up under my pillow.
okay.
That way I don't lay like flat on my mattress. And I find that that helps too with the sleep apnea. I don't have acid reflux, but I noticed that that angle that I think it's like 10 inches, and with my
Mhm.
pillow on top of it, that wedge helps me to breathe, and it helps a lot with my sleep apnea.
Right. Well, you know, a lot of those new beds that they have that automatic way to raise your head. A lot of us don't either have the money or don't want to spend that kind of money. So
Absolutely.
as you said, Jeanette, just try what you have at home. Maybe there's something inexpensive that you can do, kind of give you that relief, raise that head of that bed up. Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right.
I
So,
did get my card, by the way, and thank you very much.
oh, you did? Oh, very good. Excellent. Now, we talked about gluten. Before I leave gluten, are there any other questions that you would like to discuss regarding gluten? The use of gluten, what it means, and what you have to do if you want to go on a gluten-free diet.
Dr. Mundey, is it possible to buy gluten-free wheat bread?
No, there's no gluten-free wheat bread. As soon as it's got wheat in it, it's got gluten. It's
Okay.
yeah, wheat is an essential ingredient in gluten is an essential ingredient in written. It's no way, they haven't come up with a way to take it out of the bread. And so, you know, that's what makes the bread. So no, unfortunately there is none like that.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
My hand is raised. I drink mushroom coffee. And I'm the one with the acid reflux.
Okay.
Is mushroom coffee okay, or I should stop drinking mushroom coffee? Because I stopped drinking regular coffee and I changed to the mushroom coffee.
Okay, so what are you saying? Is it okay because you have problem with reflux?
Yes, ma'am. I have reflux and GERD.
And GERD. I haven't seen anything in the literature, but if I find it, I'll share it with you when I go next month, when I come on next month. But I haven't never seen anything in the literature that says that mushroom coffee made out of mushroom, yet you can't take it if you have GERD. I haven't seen it. And I'm assuming, I don't know, mushroom doesn't have any caffeine in it. So
that should be good.
Yeah, unless they added it in there, it should be good.
Okay.
I'm interested to know how it tastes. I've never.
It's kind of like a earthy taste.
Okay.
And you put honey in it.
Do you drink it with cream or milk in it?
I drink it with a mushroom creamer as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
so I like it.
Where do you buy this at?
I ordered it online from a company called Rise.
Okay.
Oh, I never heard of mushroom coffee.
I never have. And they have all kinds of coffee now, but I haven't seen mushroom. And they say in essence, mushrooms are very, very excellent, you know, for you. So, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, it does the same in the coffee form. Now I see
it tastes just like coffee.
It's like I said, kind of like a earthy taste, but I like it. It's I guess an acquired taste.
It's strong, and she described it perfectly. It's an earthy taste, kind of a strong taste.
Oh wow. Okay, I might try it one day.
Okay, I see two hands up, Brenda and Stephanie. Brenda, can you unmute?
I'm unmuted. Dr. Mundey, now your last slide, you said that if you were trying to go on a gluten-free diet, you would buy unprocessed meats. So, I mean, what will be the process? Is that like when they inject it with chemicals, or what would be the unprocessed meats?
Because some meats have fillers in them. So some processed meats have fillers that may have a gluten type of meat, whether it's flour or cracker crumbs or what they might put in that. So, you know, processing. And when I talk about the next topic I'm going to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about processed anything, processed food in general. And, you know, what are some of the effects from eating processed foods? So,
Okay.
so let's talk about it. But yeah, the reason is that that's the only way you can guarantee, and because the research is not there yet, that's why they always say, you know, all they can recommend is unprocessed meat, because the research they haven't done the work on the researchers yet.
Okay. Okay.
Now, Stephanie, can you unmute? I see you have your hand up.
Hi, thank you for this presentation today. I very much appreciate it. I have had to be gluten-free for, I don't know, maybe 10 years now.
Wow.
And I have to say, it's still a ridiculous struggle.
Mhm.
Honestly, I can get gluten. Well, I mean, like just last weekend, I had soy sauce. And I know that soy sauce, unless it specially says gluten-free soy sauce, I know that it's made with wheat, and I know that I'm not supposed to have even a drop of it. But Lord have mercy, I literally I had like some soy sauce with my meal Sunday after church, and I'm still really feeling the effects of it. So
Wow.
you know, it's literally something we have to take very seriously. I wanted to answer the person who said there are gluten-free breads, they just don't have wheat in them.
Exactly.
They're horrible. I mean, they're very expensive and they taste terrible. But they exist. I think the thing that I use the most is rice is a staple that I have, you know, is the starch that I have most regularly. I wanted to, and also about the mushroom coffee, which isn't related to gluten-free, but is related to, I have found that mushroom coffee to be wonderful. It's a much less acidic. It doesn't have the acid in it that regular coffee has.
It's very good.
And so I would highly recommend for people to try that. And I wanted to ask Miss Ann if she could tell us where she got the what did you call it? The wedge to put under the pillows to raise.
I received
That wasn't me, but I have one, and I bought mine through Briley catalog. They had it for the wedge.
yeah.
But I don't know what the other lady got. But you, what's that store? Home Goods has them.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Or
Okay.
any medical store, medical supplies would have them.
There's also a magazine by the name of Healthy Living that they have them, and they have them in 3 different heights. They have them in 5, 7, 10, and 12.
Yes.
And that's called Healthy Living?
Yeah, that's the name of the magazine. I can give you the number after the presentation if you want it.
I do.
Fantastic.
Right.
Well, thank you all so much for your information.
And that's fantastic to have someone who is going through it and must, for medical reasons, and to talk about the challenges, but also some of the successes. You know, soy definitely has gluten in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, soy does, unless it's very specific that they've removed the gluten out of it, all of soy. So if you know, that Chinese food that we love, and, you know, and now even regular food, we use a lot of soy on it for color, taste. So if you, for medical reasons, need to be on a gluten-free diet, you really have to pay attention because it is a challenge. But she's been doing it for 10 years. So She's got it down pat a little bit, and she still has challenges with it. So I appreciate her sharing that kind of information and how she feels after being on it for 10 years. So that those of us who have not started it or just started it because we have to, will be encouraged, but also know that it's something that you have to work at and plan when you on a gluten-free diet. You really have to plan it out. All right. Well,
Thank you for letting me share.
oh, no problem at all. That's why we're here.
We've got a
Okay.
couple hands up. Did Stephanie have a go?
Stephanie, do you have another question?
No, I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
And I'm
Okay,
assuming Linda also asked her question.
all right.
Linda didn't say anything yet.
Okay, the question is, I'm trying to follow the FOD plan diet, FOD plan diet. And they said that sourdough bread could be safe for people who are gluten allergic because they don't use yeast. Have you read anything about sourdough bread?
I haven't, but you know what? I'm looking it up right now because I'm curious about that. I know I haven't read anything at all about sourdough bread. But
I've been trying. I have a starter. I'm starting to make it myself, and I can make crackers with it, and so forth and so on.
Let's find out. Bread, gluten-free. It looks like it might be. Let's find out. People are actually making their own sourdough bread.
I know. I am.
Yeah,
I'm doing that too.
Yeah, and that's what's happening, that that you can be sure that it's not being processed in an area where it's making other types of bread. So sourdough bread looks like it does say your standard sourdough bread contains less gluten. If you want to make it gluten-free, they recommend that you make it yourself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
well, I'm actually making the starter gluten. I mean, the starter could be gluten-free, but I read that if you have celiac disease, you can't eat sourdough bread. But if you're gluten-free, you can try it. You can just try it out. Because again, there's no yeast in it. It doesn't. I don't know. I'm just going to find out myself after I bake it and see how I feel.
Sure. Yeah, there's no yeast in it, but don't forget there are other things that have gluten in it. So it's not just the yeast being absent, but you can make it, if you make it yourself, you can avoid the wheat that may be in it because of, but yes, it's definitely much less gluten. Even if you bought it from the store, it has much less gluten than regular bread. However, if you make it yourself, you can be assured that you'll be able to make it gluten-free, because there are a lot of gluten-free recipes that will help you to make it gluten-free.
Yeah.
That will give you some taste of that bread. A lot of us love bread, including me.
I know. And King Arthur makes flour, and they make a flour that is gluten-free. So if you're into baking bread, you can certainly use this flour too, which doesn't have gluten in it at all. It's gluten-free. It's called King Arthur flour.
And you get it from the grocery store?
Well, I saw it in Whole Foods, and a friend of mine also orders it online through King Arthur, but I saw it in Whole Foods recently.
All right.
And also Walmart carries it too.
Okay, so yeah, it sounds like it's available in a few areas, and those of you who really are missing that bread and you have to be on a gluten-free diet for whatever reason, there's your opportunity to give it a try. All right. Well, The only other FAQ I'd like to talk about today, because we're going to continue on some of the other sessions to talk about some of these frequently asked questions that we always have. But, you know, I thought this was a good one because recognizing the fact that we're seniors, we don't do a lot of cooking anymore like we used to, especially if you don't have other family members around you. We're not cooking every single day. And some days we might decide that we just make ourselves a sandwich, or we might eat hot dog. We got July 4th coming up. A lot of us are going to have some kind of July 4th celebration, even if it's at home by ourselves or maybe with friends or just enjoying a hot dog. It's important for us to talk about this because there's so much literature out there that we don't know what's what. So the question on this one is, we know in general that fresh food is better than eating processed food, but are some processed meats worse for you than others? And that's the question. Yeah, that's the question we're asking our experts. Are there some processed meats that are better for you or worse for you than others? And in doing the research, I'll learn a lot. And it's not that difficult. All the literature you read by all the folks who do great research, Harvard, Howard, all around the country, Johns Hopkins, the regular consumption of processed meats, and the key here is regular, it's detrimental to your health. And we'll talk about how it causes, it feeds into, if you're eating it on a regular basis, any meat that's been processed, it causes colorectal cancer. It raises your risk for colorectal cancer. You know, that's a big problem for us in our population. That's why they've raised the time for colorectal screening. Colorectal cancer screening has been dropped, not raised, been dropped to 45 years of age, because we have a lot of young people now getting colon cancer. And it's all related to our diet and what we're putting in our bodies. It also is detrimental to those of us who have type 2 diabetes and those of us who have any kind of heart disease, whether it's hypertension, do we have atrial fibrillation, do we have our lipids or hypolipidemia, fat in our arteries. All of those things are affected negatively if we eat processed meats on a regular basis. It doesn't mean that you can't have any, but we cannot eat it on a regular basis. So let's talk a little bit more about it and break it down. We need to understand what is processed meats. As you can see here, processed meats, when we say processed meats, we're talking about ham, sausage, bacon, deli meats, bologna, smoked turkey, salami. We're talking about hot dogs, the jerky that we buy, we chew on, pepperoni that we might eat it on a pizza, and even sauces. When you buy tomato sauces, you see now all the tomato sauces some of them have small pieces of sausage in it or pepperoni in it. So, you really do have to be able to check your bottle labeling or the cans to make sure if you want to cut down on processed meat, or if you want to know what's in what you're eating, you got to read that label. Now, this is what I want you to get. When meat is processed, it's no longer fresh meat. It's transformed. It changes, because when we cure it, it gets smoked. What do we use to smoke it? We're using coal, we're using wood, smoked wood. All those things increase your risk because when you burn wood and coal, it releases carcinogens, cancer-causing agents. If you put that and use it to process meat, that's what it's going to do. If you ferment it, you're using nitrates, something chemical called nitrates, that increases your risk of cancer. And of course, salting. We use that when we process meats. I'm sure your healthcare doctors and nurses have talked to you about it. When you're putting that salt, telling you if you have high blood pressure, or if you have congestive heart failure, get that salt down, because the salt is used in processed meat. That's what keeps it, keeps it to last longer when they put salt in it. It's in canned foods. Salt is all over. So that's, again, one other reason to read your label. This problem of processed meat is so large across the world that way back in 2015, so that's what, 8 years ago, the World Health Organization said processed meat is giving us cancer. That's what that statement means. And I put it in quotes, announced that processed meat was carcinogenic to humans. That means, and simply means, it's vastly increasing our risk for cancer. And the evidence they use is that rise that we have in colon cancer. If you think back, you probably know somebody, a friend, a family member, somebody, I know I do, I know somebody who has had colorectal cancer. And guess who that was? My dad. My dad is Chinese. He died in 1969. He was 66 years old. And Asians, they use a lot of smoked sausage. A lot of them don't talk about it because they don't serve it that much in the restaurant. But they eat a lot of processed smoked sausage called lapchung. It's full of fat and it's very salty and it's processed. So I say all that to say, you got to be careful about the processed meat that you're putting in your body. So back to the question, is one type of processed meat better than the other? It depends. We don't know. Because when they studied processed meats, they looked at the ones that we normally eat, the hot dogs, the bacon, the sausage, some of the things that we eat regularly. So, but the research lumped all kinds of processed meat into their research that they did mostly on hot dogs, bacon, and sausages. So it's really hard, based on the research, to say, well, maybe it's better to eat hot dogs than bacon, or maybe you should eat, processed sandwich meat, bologna is better than eating hot dogs. The research is really not able to tell us which one is better or not. So let's look at the risks, the health risks. We've talked about it. Processed meat are high in sodium. If you have high blood pressure and heart disease, it can make it worse. And what's going to happen? You keep eating the food that's not that great for you, like processed meats, and every time you go to your doctor, blood pressure is going up, and your heart is getting worse. Guess what they're going to do? We're going to put you on more medication, because we've been advised that we need to get our patients' blood pressure down, and we can't wait too long. The medical community, they're beating us over our head saying, you're waiting too long. Your patients keep coming in, their blood pressure is high month after month, and you're doing nothing about it. Put them on more medication to get their blood pressure down, because it's affecting their heart. They're going to have a stroke. You got to get it under control. So the best thing we can do for ourselves is do what we can for ourselves. If the food is high in sodium, like processed meat, cut it back. What can it also do? We've talked about people are suffering from GERD. They're having celiac disease. They've got things going on in their gut and their belly. It can also cause chronic inflammation in your gut. And that feeds into the risk of diabetes. Who would think that processed meats can increase your risk of diabetes. It can. And then the last most important thing it also can do, they've shown it through the research that if you eat 1 ounce or more of processed meat every day, it increases your risk for dementia or Alzheimer's disease.
Good Lord.
Now, who would even think about that? So, you know, we really have to look at what we're eating. Yes, you can have some processed meats, but it can't be every day, and it can't be twice a week. You gotta maybe once a week might be what you choose. Or if you decide to stay away from it altogether, maybe you just want to have it when? On a special day, like you got July 4th coming up, or maybe during the summer, you may eat a little bit more, but in the winter, you cut back on it because you're gonna eat something hot because it's cold. Maybe have some soups and that kind of thing. But processed meats, you can't eat routinely. You can use it as an occasional treat, but you can't eat it routinely. Let me open it up and ask for questions about processed meat. I would say I've been to Whole Foods. I'm not a big sandwich eater, but I'm getting a little bit lazy because I do live by myself. I didn't feel like cooking. So I said, you know what? People eat a lot of sandwiches. I'm going down to the Whole Foods. I'm going to get myself a little bit of sandwich meat so I can make my sandwich when I feel lazy. So I went in there and I looked at what they sell in the deli department. And you want to pick and choose. Look for the one that says no nitrates. When you go to Whole Foods and even Giant and Safeway, if you're buying meat, it's best to go to the deli. Don't get the one that's packaged, pre-packaged. If you're going to eat any at all, go to the deli, ask them, say, I want the sandwich meat. Show me the sandwich meat that does have hasn't been processed, a lot of processing, no nitrates, not a lot of salt. And you can have that every once in a while, okay? If you like sandwiches and that's something that you want to eat, you know, several times a week, then vary it. Maybe one day you will eat, you know, maybe a non-meat sandwich, maybe a cheese sandwich with a little unprocessed cheese, you know, not that processed cheese that they sell, but somebody mentioned Swiss cheese. There are other cheeses that you can use that are not processed. And sometimes you can have some with some meat on it and keep the meat that you make your sandwiches down to minimum. Fill it with what? Tomatoes, lettuce, cut your mushrooms, you put that on there. You can saute some mushrooms and put it on your sandwich. So fill your sandwich. If you gotta eat it, a little piece of that. If you're going to use a processed meat, a small piece of it, and the rest of it, fill it in with vegetables. I even put fruits in mine. So that's how you get what? Your full amount of fruit on a daily basis. You can put some fruit in there, and that's how you can get that. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
Let me lower my hand now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Now, with the soups in the can that have meats, I know we already talking about stuff in the cans, but that's not good either, right? The soup, and then you got the processed meat in there and all the other stuff. That's not good either, correct?
It's not good. The canned soups are just high in salt. They're high in salt. Now I know, look, I'm not saying that you can't have any, but it can't be something that you eat on a regular basis as a regular part of your diet.
Okay, and what about broth?
Raw what?
Broth.
Oh, broth. Broth has what? Broth has salt. Now, if you use bone broth, they say is much better for you health-wise than regular chicken broth. So chicken bone broth, because why? When they boil those bones up, in that bone is what? Marrow. That's
right.
Where a lot of nutrition is. So bone broth is much better for you. That's what I've switched to. And they did where I was reading it somewhere, they did a check on, which types of bone broth is good for you. And I think 2 turned out to be okay. The one made by Walmart and the one made by Costco, their brand. So
Walmart and Costco.
yes,
Okay.
take a look at the bone broth because they're a little bit more expensive than the regular broth, but I know the ones at Walmart and Costco are a good price, decent price. I see
Okay.
that
What about
Mundey-
Aldi's? Because
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you tell me if the turkey bacon, that's not good for us either?
Well,
And is it, and also is it bad for your kidneys?
Yeah, look at the turkey bacon that you buy because there are different brands. There's some that say what? Less fat. Some of this also say not made with nitrates. I can't think of the brand that does, but it'll say no nitrates, which is cancer causing. So it'll say no nitrates. That would be good, and low salt. So you could do those 2. It's still processed. It's not going to last a long time because if they cut back on things that cure meat, when you buy it, just buy a little bit because you can't keep it for a long time because it hasn't had the kind of processing that cures it, but it's much healthier for you. So get a small package. If you're going to eat some turkey bacon, maybe 1 strip, 2 twice a week. That's enough. Try to go to what? What else can you eat? I think we might have talked about this in one of the sessions. For a breakfast, and we want to eat a piece of meat, what can we eat with that? That's going to be okay. It won't give us a lot of nitrates. It's not in a can. What can we use? What can we do?
Okay, thank you so much.
Avocado.
You can use
Excuse me.
avocado. That's a protein. You can use your avocado. So we just, it's hard because we grew up on all this stuff. We grew up eating all this stuff, and now we got to look at everything we eat. And that's what's happened when we have technology. When we have technology, people come up with all kinds of things to make things last longer. But in order to do that, they have to use more chemicals to have that happen. So you want to eat, the bottom line is eat fresh when you can. If you got to eat something that's processed, cut back on it. It can't be every other day in the week. It should be on special occasion, maybe once a week. You're going to eat 1 or 2 strips of bacon, and the rest of the time, fill your plate with fresh fruit and vegetables. I eat vegetables with my eggs when I do. I don't eat that many eggs, but when I do eat eggs, I'll eat it with some vegetables instead. Avocado, asparagus. I've got some tomatoes on the plate. Plate looks pretty, and I sit down and eat it. Adele Daughtry, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
Hello, can we get Diane first? Diane has been waiting for a while.
Okay,
Diane, go ahead and unmute, and then Adele.
Okay.
thank you.
Hello, Dr. Mundey.
Hi, Diane.
I was listening to the news today and they're talking about this new chicken. Do you know
Yes.
anything about this new chicken?
I know as much as you do. When I heard they were making it in a tank, I said, hell, I don't want that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I'm with you. I'm listening to it. But they're genetically making chicken meat in a can. And I forgot what company is going to be using it on their recipes. There's some companies that's going to be cooking it. I don't want to be the first to eat it. I'm not going to be the first to eat it. No way.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know, doctor. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, Adele, go ahead.
Don't be
Thank
the
you
first
for
one.
taking my call. This is Adele, doctor.
Hi, Adele.
I want to ask you, when you go to the deli department, the person that waits on you, are they knowledgeable about which deli foods have more nitrate than others?
Yes, because you know what? It's on the label on the meat that they're selling in the deli. They should be able to tell them you want meats with that have no nitrates in it. Usually it's just it's almost fresh, but not quite. You know,
I
so they
see.
made it to it's not going to last you a long time. You can't put it in the refrigerator and think you're going to have it for weeks.
Right.
Right? Yeah, you buy it and you use it up that week.
Are you
just
familiar
got-
with,
Yeah.
are you familiar with some other selections that are lower in nitrate than others?
Well, the one that I got it from Whole Foods, but I know other places have them. I actually use the Whole Food brand. I would tell you the Whole Food brand. They have it there. They'll say no nitrates, low sodium, and it actually tastes like fresh roasted turkey.
Okay.
It really does. And they have peppercorn, you know, some things to kind of, you know, give it a flavor. So instead of getting just the one, I buy the one with reduced salt, it has peppercorns in it, which kind of perks it up a little bit. And I put
Yes.
a little mustard on it and dress it up with my plate. And it's fine.
Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, we have Yvonne.
Hi, this is Yvonne Golden.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi. I was thinking also too, you know, salmon cakes is good for breakfast too.
It is good for breakfast. You're going to make it fresh or you're going to take it out of a can?
Well, sometimes I do get the fresh, but most of the time I do use the can.
Well, guess what? I'm with you. I'm guilty the same way. I actually will use the can of, I get the wild salmon from Costco. That's the one I like because it's wild, because that tells me they caught it out in nature in the ocean and not farm raised, you know, with chemicals, you know, put in there to make them grow fat.
Yeah.
So I get that. I do it. I get that, but I don't eat it every week. I don't eat it. I may have it maybe once a month or two. But yes, it's fine. But you could also, if you ever think about it, sometimes, you know, you go to get fresh salmon, you just want one piece, but they got a sale and you might get 3 pieces.
Yeah.
Fresh salmon. You can use fresh salmon. It makes a very good salmon cake also.
Very good.
Yeah, cut it up mash it up the same way you do your canned salmon. And this way you can put your and I usually don't have to put any salt at all on it because
very good.
Yeah, so give that a try. Thanks for
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then we have Cynthia.
Okay, me again. You were touching on everything that I was thinking about asking. The ladies were asking about the salmon because I was ready to go into the tuna fish, the salmon, and the frozen crab cakes and stuff like that. So frozen is the same way, or because I like seafood a lot, and you know how you go to get seafood that's already say for instance like the fish, it's already in a package. You know, how does that affect, or is that in the same category as well as the crab cakes that come already fixed? Is that under process as well?
Let's talk about that because I had that on my list to talk about next month. Fresh or frozen, which one is better? We were going to touch on, and we probably still will. But to answer your question, frozen is better than canned.
Okay.
Okay, so answer your question. So what is happening is what they do is flash freeze it. So especially if it's wild, they get it, you go to the store, they said, we got some frozen cod, wild cod. That means it wasn't farm raised. It was growing out in the ocean. They caught it and then they flash froze it. That means, that means you're good.
Okay.
It's a good choice. Very good choice.
Okay. Thank you.
We have Denise Jackson.
Hi. Hi, you.
Hi, Denise.
Hi. I was told to tell you I like the pink salmon in the can,
Mhm.
and you notice they different colors. You have the pink, and then you have the plain color, But
Yeah.
the pink is, I don't know, it tastes a little better to me.
It's more flavorful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when we buy pink salmon and the color looks great, when you go to if you ever go to the supermarket, go to, where they sell quite a bit of fresh salmon, and when you look at what they call the wild salmon or the salmon that grows in the ocean, it ain't pink. It's not pink like that. The pink is very, very light. Or it may
Yeah,
have,
it is.
yeah, it looks, so I say all that to say, pink salmon in the can, I'm afraid it might have a little bit of dye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it may be
I never
dyed.
thought of that.
Yeah.
No, me.
Yeah, they may have put a little dye to, again, a marketing thing, really. They're not thinking about us. They think about selling it. So, I
Right.
would say, again, you can't make it an everyday thing, so
Right.
if you, you have to kind of look at, the way I look at it is I look at all the things that I'm putting in my body. And I
Right.
try to do the best I can. Maybe at sometimes, I may go off the deep end, and I may balance it up by doing something different on the other end. So
Right.
you just
That's what all of us.
yeah, you just have to be cognizant and be aware, that it's always, there's no best practice. There's no best way to do something. But most important thing is, you.
Right.
You know you, and you know what you need to do. That's why you're getting this education and learning about, the food things you do to your body. And then you gotta make a balance it, make a decision, start out somewhere. And
Yeah, that's true.
start out, the main thing is start somewhere. It might just be one little thing that you could do in terms of changing the way you eat. And you make a choice with all the information you have. You could say, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I can cut back on the bacon I'm eating, or, sausage I'm eating. I can cut it back to maybe just having it once a week instead of eating it every other day.
But you know what, Dr. Mundey, sometimes if I eat, I don't miss the meat.
There you go. I don't either. You kind of,
I really don't.
you kind of begin to get used to it, and then the body just go with it, and then you other things that you could do that you didn't pay any attention to, and all of a sudden the world opens up, a new way that you could eat, and it tastes just as good or better.
And some people say when they eat, they say, well, I have to have that meat. But then they say, well, they try to wean themselves off the meat, they say, because they have to have the meat. I say, well, you wean yourself off the meat. I like, you just stop. I mean, they say it make them sick. I don't know. When people turn vegetarians and they say they had to wean themselves off the meat, and I'm like, really? I don't know.
Remember one of the first things we talked about is, as we try to change the way we're living in terms of our nutrition, the brain, we talked about the brain. The brain controls what the body does. It's not the opposite way around. So we got to change up here. And change here to be able to do the things that we're trying to do for our bodies.
That's right.
Ladies,
Right.
ladies, this is Rosetta Archie. The body.
Hello,
all right,
Cindy, we've got a lot of hands up.
Yes,
thank you, Dr.
We just kept jumping.
I'm sorry.
So we're gonna cut it off at this point as far as hands, because we've got like 8. We only have like 10 minutes more of Dr. Monday. So we need to cut it off. So Geraldine, you'll be the last at this point. But let's go to Brenda next, then to Cynthia and Carmen, and let's get it. We've got 10 minutes left with Dr. Monday.
Right. Somebody's
talking.
Okay, let me mute them. I'm gonna mute them. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Mundey. I just wanted to say that I got some tuna fish in the can, and the name of it is Fisher tuna, but in parentheses, well, in a little square box, it has textured soy. So I'm not sure if it's tuna fish or if it's soy juices in it, or
she don't know what it is.
it had, I mean, it doesn't say tuna fish, it says Fisher tuna. And then it has, Fisher tuna, and then it has a little oval thing that says textured soy. So
you have soy.
So that's soy. It's not
soy. That's not, well, that's soy made to taste like tuna. That's what that is. You got soy.
Okay.
And it's okay if you have no allergies to soy, and it's not an issue for you.
No, I don't. And you know what? I'm trying to do better. What I've done is I've gone to the My Plate app, and I signed on. I got my first goal, and then I got a badge for a bronze anniversary, and then I signed up for the updates. So I'm working on it.
Yes, you are. I'm proud of you. Yeah.
It takes time.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, especially since you've been eating a certain way for a long period of time.
No
question. So I'm working on it. And thanks to you.
Right.
Okay. We're going to go with Cynthia, and can we keep our questions brief at this point? We've got a wait list here. So keep it brief, Cynthia.
I'm gonna try my best.
Do your best.
I'm gonna do my best. I eat a lot of mackerel in the can, sardines in the can, and oysters in the can. Look, she's shaking her head. I already got my answer.
I would say sardines have been touted, and mackerel, both of them have been touted in itself, without a lot of added ingredients, to be healthy for you. So that's the first thing I want you to know, that you're eating something in its fresh form that is healthy for you.
Okay.
Now, you go down now and say, well, it's now in a can. Is it still healthy for me? And that's the question you're trying to ask yourself.
Yes.
Some of them are in olive oil. I don't like it, but it's there so that you can get those omega-3 fatty acids in your body, but it's also a little bit salty. So back to me, my advice to you would be about those three things. Enjoy them, but don't eat them on a regular basis. When I say that, you want to eat them, maybe have one of those every 2 weeks or so, but not something that's in your diet on any regular weekly basis.
Ooh. All righty. I'm gonna lower my hand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. We'll go with
Thank
Carmen.
you.
Go ahead, Carmen. Brief if you can. Thank you.
Hi, Carmen.
Unmute.
Dr. Mundey.
Hi,
I just wanted to, I'm a high blood pressure patient and a type 2 diabetic. I just wanted to very quickly pass along a couple of techniques that I invented on my own. And with the sausage, because I can't eat pork, that's out. And I punch holes in the two sides of each one, and I put them in water and parboil them with a half a tablespoon of white vinegar, a dash of pickling spice, and a half a teaspoon of pickling spice, and a dash each of red pepper, black pepper, and paprika. Let them come to a full boil, a good strong boil, and you can see all that sodium and stuff coming out of them.
Wow.
And then you rinse them off, pour them in and rinse them off, peel the casings off, and I freeze them.
All right. I like that tip, Carmen. And by the way, that poem that you read was powerful. Your voice is powerful. It really, yes, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, excellent tip. You got to do what you have to do. Yeah.
And I just I'm gonna be very brief. The same thing with the canned salmon. You pour off the juice, put a half a tablespoon of white vinegar, run scalding hot water in it, and
Just
pour it
drain
off.
that off. Mm-hmm.
And it gets all that sodium out.
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carmen. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Oh,
Adele,
thank you. Quite
I'll
welcome.
ask you to do the same. Be brief so we can get everybody questions answered.
Okay, this is Adele again. Thank you. I just want to ask, in making sandwiches, instead of cooking a lot of other things, is it advisable to cook maybe a whole leg of lamb or roast or chicken or turkey and make sandwiches from those instead of buying in the deli?
Adele, that is so perfect. That's what I do now. I get me because I don't feel like cooking, and I don't get that big fat chicken that Costco sells real cheap. I go to Whole Foods, get one of their roasted. Sometimes I only buy half because I'm not going to be home. I get half or a full roasted organic chicken, and I slice that and make my sandwiches. That's perfect. You don't have to. Thank you so much for bringing that up. You don't have to get processed meat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adele. Wallerstein, Wilmotine, go ahead. Unmute. Wilma? Are you there?
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, here I am. I wanted to ask, she was talking about the chicken, the regular chicken, and I wanted to ask about the chicken broth. Is that good to use that, that's already cooked? Or could you cook your own chicken?
You could cook. Of course, the best thing is for you to cook your own chicken. That's always best because you know what's in it. You do what you got the knowledge now where you know what to do with it. Sometimes you can't do that because you're busy or you want to cook something real fast.
Right.
Organic chicken broth.
Organic chicken breast.
Yeah.
Not just like a regular chicken. You just don't go and buy regular chicken. Like wings, chicken wings that's frozen. Are they any good?
As long as they're organic. If you get chicken, don't forget this stuff that they're growing and selling to us. They fatten it up with all kind of chemicals for us to eat it. When you go, the bigger the chicken, the more chemicals they put in the chicken. When I go, I just get a small chicken. Okay, so when you buy chicken, get a small chicken. Even if you can't afford frozen, can't afford organic, look for the smaller chickens. Have less chemicals in it.
Okay, and you were talking about that turkey bacon. I didn't realize turkey bacon was processed. I thought it was, just turkey bacon.
No, it's processed.
It's processed, and not to eat so much of that.
Yes, not to eat that much of it. Little bit, not much. Okay.
Thank you, Wilma. Geraldine,
Thank you.
And then Michael, and then that will be it. Dr. Mundey should be off right about now. So we'll just take
Did you say Carolyn?
Okay, go ahead. Geraldine, go ahead.
Dr. Mundey, wow, thank you so much for the presentation and all this information. Now, we got a lot of information to put in our toolbox. We know what we should eat and what we should not. But you did say that we can start off small, like we instead of having the processed food all the time, we can wait and have the hot dog at the family reunion or the 4th of July, or just make it a special occasion so we won't eat it all the time, which is bad for us.
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
Thank you, Geraldine.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Michael, you're the last. Go ahead. Unmute.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. I just wanted to ask, what about farm raised salmon? Do you have any thoughts on that?
you know,
one that they sell in the store and they say it's in a pack and they say it's farm raised. What does that mean?
okay, farm raised, anything that's raised, fish that's raised in a farm, you know, the same thing with tilapia. Tilapia is a farm raised fish. So anything that's raised in a farm, what they've done, they've put different types of chemicals. That's the best way I can put it. They put different types of chemicals in a pond to feed those fish. That's what happens. So the best kind of salmon or fish that you want to eat is the one that they have wild. Of course, you know, it
So
costs.
in other words, you don't know what they put in it? I mean, we don't know what they put in it.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, next month, I'm going to talk about that exact topic because everybody has that question. Eat something what they mark wild or can we do farm raised? And we're going to talk more and more about that. Everything today, because of volume and cost, they're doing and raising in a farm. And we do have to be very careful to figure out which one is best for us.
Right.
So
Yeah,
join me. Yeah. Join me.
I was just going to
We'll cover some more about it.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Michael.
thank you.
All right,
Okay,
now we're
thank
gonna
you.
do the polls. I'm gonna go ahead. And do polls right now. It says here, you've logged in from another device. It's inactive. I wonder why is that? Okay. All right. We're gonna go, hold on, I've got a problem, but
That's right. Once you do that, I want to just make sure we end with our mantra on our, I posted it there, you see it. Let's make sure, and let's say it to support each other.
I can't run the poll. You need to get me back as host.
For a healthier me.
But it's not saying you
Eat
have
better.
logged in from another device.
Eat good to me.
Keep moving.
Be good to me and keep moving.
Moving.
Yes.
I don't even
Brilliant.
have host privilege. I don't right now.
You don't have privilege?
I made you host.
No, it's showing that, but I don't have it. It is showing.
It's Zoom.
Eat better.
It's
Keep
Zoom.
moving.
Okay.
Be good to me.
Yes.
I like that.
That's what happened. That's what happened with the celebrations and stuff.
So, well, no, I usually am able to run my poll and I can't right now. So log back in and then log back out. Something is going on your end because I'm able to do so.
This was some good stuff, Dr. Mundey. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Did anybody get to the Marvin Gaye concert they had? Of course, it was a tribute to him. They had, was it last Saturday and Sunday at the Kennedy Center? It was.
No, I didn't make it.
No, I didn't know about that. I know they had
No.
something out at the
It
park.
was.
for him.
Did you make it, Dr. Mundey?
I made it, and I haven't had a chance to go out, or let's put it this way, I haven't made the effort to go out, and I'm so glad to get out
I
there.
see it. I see it. They got the poll.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's do it. What percentage of oh, that speaker won't go off. Okay, what percentage of the information was new to you? No, not the percentage.
It won't let me answer.
Would you like to
pressing the
learn more
button.
about this? Yes.
It won't let me
Try a
answer the
different
second.
finger.
Oh, never mind. I see it. Thank you.
Rate the speaker's presentation skills. Brilliant.
Yeah.
This presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only 4?
It said it was 5, wasn't it?
Well, it say
Yeah.
4.
You gotta scroll up some more.
It's only 4.
Oh, it's only 4? Okay. maybe it was the number 5 that I pushed that I'm still thinking about. Okay. It'd be best to go with their opinion instead of mine.
Okay, everyone, how are you doing with the polls? Are you able to access the polls?
I finished.
Yeah,
I did. I'm done.
yes, I submitted mine.
Okay,
Mine came right up and I submitted it already.
thank you.
Me too.
The poll is in the chat room or where?
I'm
Now,
all
if you
done.
go to the more button, tap on more.
Tap
And
on more.
you'll see polls. You need to tap on that.
Oh.
Oh,
I
it was
already
right
did
on the
it.
screen. I didn't tap
Okay.
on anything. Is another poll?
The same one, Jackie.
Jackie?
Oh, okay, mine was on the screen. Okay.
Yeah,
I
mine
did
was
it.
too.
Sometimes they
Okay.
just show up. Yes.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was some informative stuff, man.
Gosh, yeah.
Dr. Mundey,
Yes.
it's Gracie Webb. I got my card. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're
And-
very
and-
welcome. That's
And I've been
great.
following that diet. I've been keeping my records and I've gotten a lot of badges. And I
All
told you
right.
when you first started, I was already following that a Mediterranean diet. So I've gotten more into it. And even in my head, I feel better. You know what I
That's
mean? Like
good.
clearer.
That's good.
It's
Gracie.
really working for me. I've lost a little weight. I think I've gotten leaner. I lost inches, like not so much weight, but inches toning down, you know.
That's
But
good,
it's
Gracie.
really working for me.
Yeah.
I know you look good, Gracie. You really do.
Thank you.
Your complexion and your spirit just shows right through.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? At some point, you know, this session, this group of nutrition education is supposed to end in September, and you all will have, you know, probably have some other types of nutrition education. But we're going to celebrate, because if I can get folks to use that app, that's my goal, to get
Yes,
that
ma'am.
app. So when I'm gone and when everybody else is gone, you have something that belongs to you, that you don't have to wait and call, check nothing, just go on your app.
Right.
All the information you need to help you. So
Mhm.
when we can get those numbers up of everybody using, we're gonna have a celebration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Mundey, this
Dr.
is
Mundey.
Geraldine.
Dr. Mundey.
Yes.
I've been using that app too. I use some recipes and I use some snack recipes and I got some badges.
Everybody got on suits. Monk got on suit.
All right.
Dr. Mundey, I've also been following it. And plus, you said since this is going to end in September, Alex been giving us a lot of information too.
Yes.
So
he
that's
has.
been helping as well. So it's kind of back up to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to hear it at more than one time.
Right,
You gotta hear it more than one time, hear it presented a little bit differently. Something will click with you.
Yeah.
So it can stick and stay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What app are you referring to?
My plate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Steph asked about that. You know, go back and look at your notice that you get about the nutrition classes. Right on it, it says download Eat Simple with My Plate.
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So the
give me a
information is
little bit
right
more
there.
water. I like soup to mine.
Yeah, the information is there. So everybody needs to download that app. If you need help, the help desk will help you do that.
Yes.
And get that going, because that's going to be your lifeline. That's your lifeline. Anything that you want to know.
Give me some honey,
That's right.
please.
This is the valuable stuff we can have, is knowing how to take care of this valuable real estate, this
That's
body.
Right. Right.
I mean, came out right, but I think you guys understand what I was trying to say.
Yeah, we understand.
Thank you.
Is that your grandbaby, Brenda?
Okay.
Oh, she's so
Yes,
pretty.
this is her. This is Jordan.
Hey, Jordan, how you doing?
She's so
How
silly.
old are you, Jordan?
She's
How
so
old are you,
cute.
Jordan?
Thank you.
Hi,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Hey.
They saying
Jordan.
hi. You gotta say hi, Jordan. Say hi. She's so silly. Look at it. Get
No,
that.
she's licking her tongue out.
Jordan, how old is Jordan?
Hi, Jordan.
They ask how old are you?
How old are you, Jordan?
I'm 6.
Oh, come on, Jordan.
You are
That
a
pretty at 6
great
years.
girl now.
How you get that pretty at 6 years?
That's
You
so
look,
cute.
you look like grandma.
See,
You
I was
get
just
her
thinking
pink.
about that. She
Uh-huh.
sure does.
Color.
Yeah.
She's got your face.
Cute.
Dr. Mundey,
Yes,
Dr. Mundey,
speaking.
we talked about hot dogs and half smokes and bratwurst. On the 4th of July, I like to do some grilling. But I'll take.
You will too.
It's too much competition for me. Look at that.
Somebody is talking over Dr. Monday. Aaron. And
The television. I can't compete with
the
television.
television.
Doc,
I hear you.
4th of July, I like grilling. Well, everybody does hot dogs and half smokes and bratwurst, but I kind of do it a little differently, and I'm wondering if it'll make a difference. I'll put a pan of beer on the grill and bring it to almost a boil, and then put the hot dogs and half smokes and bratwurst in that beer and let them swell up with the beer. So am I making it better or worse by doing it that way and then rolling it on the grill to get the grill marks on it? Am I making it worse or better?
Well, hopefully there's nobody there who needs to eat a gluten-free diet. I don't think you're making it any worse in terms of nutrition. As long as you don't keep it on that grill too long, because that stuff is already cooked. So just you can get it on there just to give it a little bit of cinch and take it off. And again, we know that using those coals in that grill is carcinogenic over the long run. So let's just do it on celebratory type of events.
Yeah, I do it that way, and I put it on the grill plate, but they puff up when I put them in the beer to give them a better taste. But
yeah,
I'm not the nitrates and all that stuff. I know it's salty and all that stuff. I think that takes some of it out, but I was just wondering if it makes it better or worse. Thank you.
You're welcome.
They taste better though.
With that
that was coming wrong.
What we do with those crabs. I know my husband is from DC, and they had, once the crab season came, we were eating crabs every week.
Hi, Miss Jackie.
Hey, Miss Jackie, how are you? I have a package to
Oh, let me turn this off.
Okay.
Hard to find a good half smoke in DC these days anyway.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find.
You can go down on U Street.
They got Briggs half smokes down there.
I don't know if it's Briggs.
Murray's used to do a good half smoke. You don't have Murray's anymore either.
Nope.
I got you on that, Ron. I got some from Georgia.
Oh yeah. My daughter lives in Atlanta. She ships me some from time to time. They even sent me to BK. They told me to go to BK Miller.
That's what I was ready to tell you.
Not the half smoke. That's not the half smoke I grew up with.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to tell you that. Try down there.
That's not the same. It's not the same one at all. But
I know.
dropping them in that beer and let them puff up and roll them around a little bit.
That
That'll
sounds
hold you.
good.
That'll hold you.
No, man.
Thanks, y'all.
You all, I gotta go because I got some grandkids waiting on me too.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay,
Dr.
Dr.
Monday,
Monday,
thank
All right.
you.
Thank
so much.
you.
Take
Thank you,
care,
Kevin.
Dr.
Thank you,
Monday.
Dr.
You all
Monday.
have a
Take
good
care.
July 4th, and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk next month. At the end of next month, I think is our next session.
All right.
All
Okay.
right.
Bill,
Okay.
James
if
Gang,
you
love
think
you,
of
doctor.
anything that you
Appreciate
want
it.
to cover, that you have questions about, you're not quite sure, you think people can benefit from it, some of you, send it to Wild Tech so that I can make
Okay.
sure that I include it in the sessions that we're having.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
Doc.
You all take care.